You're not that hard thing that happened to you. Like, you are who you decide you want to become on the other side of that hard thing. And just remember that you have so much more control than you think. And once you start focusing on the things that you can control and start letting go of the things that you can't, that's when you're going to start to see positivity and like being able to have growth and being able to move forward in your life.
Hey sis, welcome to the Sisterhood Soul and Strategy Podcast, a space for women building businesses that feel as good as they look. I'm Steph, a small town girl from Wisconsin with big dreams to positively impact the world. This podcast is from the heart, where we share real conversations about building intentional businesses that thrive in every season. And the best part, we talk both soul and strategy, and we wrap it all up in sisterhood. Because let's be real, business is more fun in community. So no matter your age or stage of small business ownership, you stumbled upon this podcast for a reason. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm really excited for our guest and the conversation that we're going to have today, because we are going to talk and dig into the theme of resilience. And that is something that goes far beyond your business and into your personal life, how you show up, and really what this podcast is all about. It's the sisterhood, the soul, and the strategy, and digging deep. So please welcome to the podcast, Sarah Beaver.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I want to get to know you more, Sarah. We've been following each other on social media for a bit, but I really want to know more about your story. So will you take us to your rock bottom moment and tell us what that sparked in you?
Yes, I know. When I thought of the question, I was like, oh my gosh, you got to narrow it down to just one. Because like,
Right.
let's be real. At this time in our life, I feel like we've all been through like multiple hard things. But I would say my rock bottom moment was last January 2025. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And I am somebody who I like to have control in my life, which I think a lot of business owners, a lot of women, a lot of moms, like we like to have a plan, right? We like to know what's going to happen. And receiving that diagnosis, I realized that there was going to be so many things that I wasn't going to be able to control. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to let my doctors and the medicine and God do the rest. And I'm going to focus on what I can control. And I'm going to focus on my exercise, my nutrition, my sleeping, my mindset, like just making sure that I'm doing everything that I can do in order to have the best possible outcome. So went through 6 rounds of chemo. I did immunotherapy for a year. I had 4 surgeries. The cancer is gone, thank goodness. Like, I've been cancer-free for just over a year. But I think what it sparked in me more than anything was realizing that life is short, and we don't ever know what's going to happen. And up until that point, I had my podcast, and I started that in the end of 2023, and I had done a little bit of one-on-one coaching, and I was, making some custom like shirts and cups, but I always felt like everything was a side hustle, and that all these other women and all these other businesses and everything that I was seeing, I felt like it wasn't for me because I was a single mom, because I live in California, because it's too expensive. Like, how was I going to be able to do what they were doing? And, once I was diagnosed, I ended up taking a leave of absence from my work. And I thought, I need to take this time off so that I can heal and I can be okay, not only for me, but for my daughters, and not just keep pushing myself the way I always had. Because I was like a go, 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 like taking care of everybody else before I take care of myself type of person. And I was like, I need to focus on myself right now because this is not good. This is scary. But having that time off and having that year off, even though it was for like a terrible circumstance, it also showed me how much time I was missing with my daughters, how much more I wanted out of my life. And in about August, when I started kind of feeling better, and I still had, I think, 3 surgeries to go at that point, but the chemo was out of my system, the cancer was out of my system, and I started getting a little more clarity around what I really wanted to do. And I was like, I can't sit here and just think what if anymore. Like, we're going to do this and we're going to go all in. And it sparked this like desire in me to start speaking on stages, to start sharing my story, to ultimately, I resigned from my corporate job and I was a senior manager at Costco and I was there for 27 years and I was supposed to go back to work in February. And instead of going back, I put in my resignation and I was like, life's too short. Like, we got to take a chance.
Oh, so good. And I think so many people can resonate with that because even if we haven't experienced cancer ourselves, it affects so many people and their families and just like how you approach life. And yes, that it is so short. And I love that you resigned and are a full time entrepreneur. What has that been like for you? What is the experience?
Um, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. But I will say the decision I started, like I said, I started planning probably in August and I started talking to financial advisors. I had to find insurance, obviously, because I still was going to have a ton of like medical appointments and things like that. So it definitely wasn't a hasty decision. And what I did for myself is I already had been paying down my debt, doing all these things. And I was like, if I'm going to leave my job, I'm going to leave debt free. So I set myself up so that I could build my business for a year without like the stress and the desperation of like, oh my God, if this doesn't work, I can't pay my bills because I knew that wasn't going to work for me. And so when I made this plan, I was like, I want to spend this year literally creating and seeing what works for me and what feels good for me. And I just think it's been such a beautiful place to be able to create from. And for me, I don't know how much, like, if you're into human design, I am into human design. And I'm a generator and I create from response and realizing that some of the things that I'm good at, everybody doesn't know how to do. Everybody's not good at that, and seeing a need, like creating merchandise, which I love a personal brand. I love merchandise. I love a branded cup, a shirt, a tote, a hat, whatever it is. And being able to create that for people alongside of my coaching has been like such a nice surprise that I wasn't really expecting. And so just being able to create from that point, but also being able like this semester, I guess you'd call it. My kids are 8 and 12, so they're not really like semester yet, like half of the school year. But that I got to be here and I got to volunteer at the school when I wanted to. And I got to be flexible and take them to school and pick them up and help them with their homework and make dinner and all those things that I was missing when I was working like 45 plus hours a week. Like that to me has been the most beautiful part of it. And just really deciding like, what do I want my life to look like? And I'm like, and what do I need to do to create that?
So good. And I think that is the beauty of entrepreneurship is you get to design your day. And yeah, you really do have the freedom, while it's not always easy to like flex your schedule and do those things, but to spend more time with your family. I grew up with both my parents being entrepreneurs for that reason alone, to be able to spend more time with my sister and I. So I completely understand that. And being a mom now, I get it. And I'm a generator too. So I love that.
Oh,
Yes. And just like, I also have like more of a creative side, and then there are more of the strategy side too, but I love having multiple businesses and multiple revenue streams because pieces of that feed different parts of me, right? So I think it's
yes.
probably the same for you. Like there's that generator side that like loves rhythms and routines, and we can like keep building and going. And then there's like, but I need to be lit up about what I'm building. I need like the spark and the fun, and the creativity that I'm assuming the branding side of it brings for you. So how long have you been doing the kind of creative branding?
Well, it's funny because in 2020, during like I'm senior manager at Costco, I'm working 11, 12-hour days because, COVID's hit and it's like thousands of people there every single day fighting each other for toilet paper and paper towels and water and everything else, right? And we couldn't go anywhere. And so I thought, I need to do something outside of work because I'm going to lose it. Like, this is crazy. And it was just about to be my 40th birthday. I had this huge plan and everything got canceled. Everything got shut down. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this money? I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a Cricut printer and I'm going to make my daughter's birthday party decorations or whatever I thought I was going to make with that. And, being at home and like just looking on YouTube and stuff, I started seeing these people and they were putting like stickers on cups and I was like, "Oh, that's kinda cool, like, maybe I can figure out how to do that." So, started putting stickers on Starbucks cups, and I was, like, taking them to work, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Can you make me one?" And so that kinda just started, like, spawning into something else, and I saw people and they're putting, like, glitter and epoxy, and I'm like, "Oh my god, these cups are just insane," right? And I was like and I have this I don't think it's a toxic trait sometimes. I think my oldest daughter would say it's a toxic trait. I have a toxic trait that every single time I see something online, I fully believe with my entire being that I can do it. I can make it happen. So I start researching these glitter tumblers and it just kinda took off from there, and, I loved it, and I was getting, like, virality on my cut page and all these things, but then I kinda got burnt out on it because I was creating what everybody else wanted me to create. I was creating customs and all this stuff that I didn't wanna be doing. So I kinda stepped back from it a little bit, and then actually at the end of last year, I had a friend, and he was like, "Hey, I saw you make those cups, like, do you think you could make a couple for me?" And it literally, like, reignited this spark in me when I did it, and now being in this space and knowing so many women and attending events and entrepreneurs and everything, they started seeing what I was doing and they were like, "Hey, can you create some things for my retreat?" And so that was kind of what sparked it. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I mean, these people, like everybody, you have high end clients. You want to send like a client gift or something." So I started reaching out to people, showing them, I'm like, I can put your logo and I can put their name. And it just kind of like spawned into this whole thing of me creating and it was really just cups in the beginning and then in March one of my best friends, unfortunately he passed away, but through that a group of us, it wasn't really a group, it was me and the artist. I contacted the artist, I said, "Hey, I love your artwork. I'd love to put this on sweatshirts and t-shirts for him." And what that started as because I didn't want the standard, like, memorial, day of birth, day of death, like, I wanted some he was a surfer, he was honestly, like, the coolest guy I knew, and I was like, "I want something more to, like, represent him," you know? So, like, people that didn't know him would still wanna buy this because it's just really, really cool designs. And so I was like, I feel like this is going to be big and it's going to be popular. I should start a Shopify. Like, I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out. And ended up, thank goodness I did it that way because I'm talking hundreds of orders came in and I'm packing them in my house. So people start seeing that. And they were like, "Hey, wait, like I've been wanting to do merch." And which made me start to think, well, okay, in addition to the cups, I can do like t-shirts, I can do tote bags, I can do like if you want them for, small events, if you want them for large events, if you want to have like a setup to where you constantly have merch. So that's kind of what has become birthed from that whole thing. So I think the creativity in me was always there, but I also realized that when I was in a stressful situation, like in my life, in my job, in my work, like that creativity had got shut down for a little while. And by stepping away and just having this really beautiful place now that I can just do what I want and what I enjoy, and my brain is not crowded with all of that other crap, like it allows the creativity to come through for me to see the possibility because I don't think a few years ago if this opportunity had presented itself to me, I wouldn't have been able to see the possibility of what it could turn into.
Oh, hey sis, I am just putting on my favorite lip gloss, Small Town Beauty by Asia. This is my favorite color. It's called 23. It's hot pink and I am obsessed. She has so many different fun colors. She has a lip treatments that can nourish your lips. But personally, I'm a lip gloss bestie and I absolutely love the human behind this brand, Asia. Her mission and vision is to make sure that just because we live in a small town doesn't mean we can't have incredible products like this lip gloss. So if you are a small town girly who loves a good lip gloss, you need to check out Small Town Beauty by Asia. And you can use my code to save $5 at checkout. So fun. Okay, I love this. And I'm already thinking like, well, I need some merch because I,
Yes, you
I
do.
need some for Sister Circle, but I'll connect with you after. But I think too often we hear the same business advice that you need to go all in on one thing and focus on one thing and one thing and one thing. And while I think there obviously is something to be said about that, like finding success in that, I also think it discredits so many of the things that you just touched on. Burnout from the one thing that
Yes.
you're using to solely live off of as your income, right? It does sometimes like steal the joy right out of it, because there's stress behind it and a pressure. And while I think there's good things that come with pressure, there's also bad things, right? So like sometimes you need that to be motivated and to like do the thing, but it can become too much. It can become chronic. It can become, the thing that literally makes you not want to run your business anymore. So I love hearing this, that you are, running two businesses. They both are feeding different parts of your brain. They're also both bringing in income, right, in different ways, and what I don't think enough people really understand is when you have multiple businesses, let's say even two, if you can cross collaborate the people that you're working with, it's even easier, right? So I have a real estate business and then I have small business sister circle, and I can't tell you how many real estate referrals I've gotten just from having this coaching and community and vice versa. Like they literally just flow in and out. And I think that can be the case for a lot of people if you allow it to be that way, and or take the pressure off. And it's okay to do multiple things that bring you, joy, excitement, creativity, clients that you like working with, income, revenue. And I just don't think that it gets talked about enough as like a positive thing. It's more of like oh, you should just focus on one thing and go all in on that. But that might not actually be the best advice for people like us.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And it's funny because my mentor that I'm working with right now, she is also multi-passionate and she also has various streams of income. And I was like, yes, like I want to work with you because you get it, because you're not going to tell me, the whole thing is like, you need to niche down, and you need to talk about this one thing and one thing. And I'm like, but that's not the way that I operate. And what I'm learning is like, that's not a way a lot of other people operate either. And if you go all in on one thing, and say it doesn't work, or say it does work for 2 years and then you decide that you don't want to do it anymore, and now you're like, "Wait, I don't even know what else to do." But if you play at the same time, and create different things that feel good to you, then you can find what really lights you up and what really is going to produce income, what's going to make you money, what's going to make you happy. And I told her, I said, if I sat here every single day for 2 years and talked about one offer, I would lose it. Like there's no way that would light me up. I said, so when people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a speaker. I'm a podcast host. I create custom merch. I'm a mindset mentor." Like, where do you want me to stop? Because but I do think that they all overlap, because it's natural for a podcast host to be a speaker. It's natural for a mindset mentor to be a speaker and a podcast host, because how else, like, I can only take on so many one-on-one clients, but I still want to help people. So how else am I gonna help people and spread my message other than, like, talking in other formats, right?
Hey, sis. If you're listening to this podcast, it's probably because you're growth minded and you're looking for more ways to step into your potential, to share your own message, to show up and lead yourself and your business in your next era. And you can do that as a speaker leader. Speaking is one of the best ways to grow your business and your brand, but I see way too many business owners completely winging it. And that is why I created the speaker training course. This is an opportunity for you to learn a rinse and repeat framework that you can use over and over and over again to build your signature talk and topic to give to any audience, to move them into action. It's designed to be completed in just 2 focused days, to leave with a transformational talk that you can then go give to the right audience that will actually grow your business and your brand. You can join us for just the course at your own pace. You can also apply to become a Sister Circle certified speaker, or you can join us live in person for our next level speaker leader retreat this fall. Find more details in the show notes, and I can't wait to see you step into your speaker leader era. Yeah, and you're serving people in a different way on a on a podcast versus a stage or a one-on-one call, like you're meeting people where they're at in different places. And this is why personal branding is so important, because when you build your businesses around your personal brand, you can do all of these different things and it's not confusing because it just becomes a part of who you are and a way that you are serving an audience or a person one-on-one. So I just think it's such a important conversation to be had, and I love being able to talk. I didn't even know we were going to go here today, but I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the your podcast and coaching and speaking side of things. What is the message that you tend to share as kind of like your signature message or framework, and who is it for?
Well, I would say it's kind of twofold because my podcast is called Creating Sunshine. And this was born from my original cut page in 2020 was called Create Sunshine Shop. Because in my life, the You Are My Sunshine, the lullaby has been like since I was a kid, it was sang to me. And my oldest daughter, it was like the theme of the baby shower, the theme of her bedroom. I've literally sang that song to my kids every single night since they were born. And I still sing it to them. Even my 12-year-old is like, Mom, you're not going to sing to me? And I'm like, okay. So that has always been a theme. And then when Creating Sunshine was coming to be, it just really was like believing in the fact that we have the ability to create sunshine in our own lives, that you find what you focus on. And trust me, this was really put to the test last year. And sometimes you have to dig deep. Like sometimes it's something as simple as like, oh my God, I woke up today. Oh my god, the sun came out today, like, I'm not saying it has to be any big dramatic thing, but if you focus on the sun coming out rather than you going outside and you're like, "It's too hot," like, you're going to be more positive. And my daughters and I last year really started with creating our sunshine moments, and I would go at the end of every month, and then this is what I do with my clients. I'm like, "Before you just go all in on the next month and your goals and everything, let's stop and let's celebrate. Like, what did you do this month? How did you create sunshine in your life? Like, let's look through our camera, let's look through our calendar, let's write it down. And what do you want to create for the next month? Like, what are you looking forward to? And if you don't have anything, then you better create it and you better put it on there. And so that was kind of like the whole thing behind the podcast and everything. And then when the coaching started, the main message is really my coaching is called Your Next Chapter because I like to look at my life, and I think everyone can look at their life like a book. And there's going to be some really crappy chapters, and there's going to be some chapters that you can't control and things that have happened in your past. But we're going to move forward and we're going to look at what your next chapter looks like because we have the ability to create any life that we want, no matter what has happened to us. It's just the deciding factor is gonna be, are you gonna stay stuck in the victim mindset because of what's happened to you? Because I could have done that and I could have been like, well, I got a divorce. I'm a single mom. I had cancer and make excuses for everything. Or I was going to say, you know what? I can't control those things, but I'm going to control the thing that happens next. I'm going to control the way that I show up. I'm going to control what I do from this point forward. And I'm going to write my next chapter. So I guess it would be twofold, but then they kind of still come back together because you do have to create sunshine in order to, have a great
The
next
next
chapter.
chapter. Yes, I love this, and, I think it's so true, like, yes, everyone can view their life as a book and chapters, and I wrote a book all about the last kinda few years of my life, and those there are chapters, very distinct chapters that I'm like, "These are the hard ones to write, these were the rough ones," right? But they're also probably the most important chapters in the whole dang book that
100%.
people want to read because no one wants to look at someone and see their life as just success after success, highlight reel. They've never had something bad happen to them, right? We want to read stories of resilience and overcoming and the underdog and all of those things. So, what are some of those hard chapters and experiences that you've had that have forced you to become resilient, and what have you learned from them? Like, how does it change who you are and how you show up today?
I would say I didn't realize it as I was growing up because when you're growing up, you kind of think that like that's just life and that's the way that it is. And I don't think I started really realizing until I was probably like junior high, getting into high school that like, oh, we don't have a lot of money. Like there is a lot of my friends and a lot of other people that they have way more money than I do. Like these people are I was the kid that was always like really nice and really helpful, so I got invited to go on vacation with, like, all of my friends' families because I pulled my weight and the kids' weight, right? Because the kids weren't doing anything, but I found a way to still be able to do these things even though my family was never gonna be able to afford it, right? So I learned, "Oh, if I come and I help do the dishes and I help take out the trash and I help" like, they're gonna be like, "Hey, do you wanna invite Sarah to come with us on vacation?" Like, and it happened multiple times, I'm telling you guys. So there was that, but also realizing, that there was hard things that were happening and I was making it through better than other people. And I was like, "Oh, this is weird. Like, okay, maybe I have something here." But then not even really acknowledging it because I was so young, And then I think that when my husband and I separated in 2019, like that was definitely probably one of the chapters that rocked me the most. And at that time, I wasn't really like into personal development and I still had the positive outlook, I still had the positive mindset that I had had from my youth, but now I felt like it was only on the outside and I felt like the inside wasn't matching it. The inside I was literally burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed out. I had 2 young kids. I was like, "Oh my god." Every day was like groundhog day, and I was just basically trying to catch up and I felt like I was failing at everything, like as a wife, as a mother, at my work. It was like I wasn't getting promoted. All of these things were happening and I had to really, like, get real with myself, like, early 2020, and I was like, the whole Mel Robbins is like, "No one's coming to save you." Like, no one was coming to save me. Nobody was coming to pick me up because I wasn't, number 1, telling anybody that there was anything wrong. Because on the outside, I was acting like I had it all together, and that was when I dove in and I started listening to personal development podcasts and reading books, and then ultimately started attending events and meeting other women and like, "Oh, okay, like, this is what it feels like to have supportive people in your life and to have community." And in meeting those women and going to those events and realizing what it could look like, maybe that could be for my life too, and them being able to inspire me and motivate me on all of those things. And then ultimately, feeling like I had the tools and I had a lot of things in place and then being diagnosed with cancer, at first, I was like, "You've gotta be freaking kidding me. After everything else, you gotta be kidding me." But also knowing I have done a lot of work up to this point, and I know that I have the tools that I need to thrive through this. Like, this is no way is this gonna take me out. And, I decided at that point, I said, "I already have a platform. I'm already sharing on my social media. I already have a podcast. Like, maybe this could help somebody else if I just show up." And I did. And through my hair loss and through my chemo and through everything else. It's like the videos come up and I'm like, "Oh my god, girl, like what were you doing? Like how did you even" But people really resonated with it and they were like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for showing up." And they were like super invested, but also realizing how much it could help them to see somebody else actually going through it. And like you said, not just showing the highlight reel. I was like, "Oh no, guys, today's a rough day. Like it's a chemo day and I'm going to be sleeping on the couch, but if you guys would like to send me a message." And that helped me also so much more than just helping other people because at least when I was laying there and I was feeling sick, I would open my phone and I'm like, "Oh, look at all these people and the nice things that they're saying." And so I definitely think that, you know, your hard seasons do teach you. But like you said earlier, I don't think I would change any of it because without all of those things that happened to me, I wouldn't be where I am today. If everything was just all, sunshine and rainbows all the time, like it wouldn't feel and also wouldn't feel as good as it feels now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. And it's so true. Yes. Because I think oftentimes it's natural for us to want to isolate ourselves in our challenges. I see that happen all the time with people, and it's actually the opposite of what we need. We need community. We need people who are there to cheer us on, to support us, to just sit with us in our struggles. It's not like we always have to have answers to everything, but just knowing that you're valued, you're seen, you're just supported through a hard season. And yes, my whole book is called Seasons of a Soulpreneur. And I always say, like, we don't get to the harvest without going through the storms. And the harvest is so much sweeter when the storms are heavy and, they're long lasting and they really stretch us and take us to the depths of our soul, our dark night of the souls. when we go through those, we appreciate coming out on the other side so much more, just like I'm sure you do. Your
Mhm.
health and your family and your ability to work for yourself now and all of those positive things that came from having cancer too, right? It wasn't all negative either. And but that's also a choice to see them that way. And that's why I'm sure like creating sunshine is called that because you sometimes have to create the positive. You have to find the good. Otherwise, yeah, it's just depressing. You're just gonna
Yes.
sit in your sadness, and kind of more of that like victim mentality of like, why me? And not to say we can never have that, but to come out on the other side better instead of bitter is for me always the goal. And I'm sure through all of this, you have created rituals and rhythms that support you in your health and your business and your family life. Would you be willing to share what are some of your daily rituals or weekly rhythms that support who you are right now?
Yes, I would say probably the biggest thing for me is journaling, and that has been so helpful for probably the last, at least I would say 3 years. Is that's my go-to. Whenever I feel like I need to get something out, whenever I feel stuck, my happy place is the ocean. I live in Southern California, so anytime I need it, I just need to go to the ocean. I need to put my feet in the sand, I need to hear the waves, and my daughters and I, we love going there, we love watching the sunsets. And more than anything, I would say though, it's now community because realizing, like you said, there were so many times that I went through life when hard things were happening that I wasn't sharing with other people. Like when my husband and I separated, I kept it all inside. I didn't tell anybody. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I really had to decide when I was diagnosed, like, I am not going to do this the same way as I did before. I am going to do things differently. And now having the community and having the supportive friends, and these are people that I joined these communities for business, but they ended up becoming friends. They ended up becoming people that I was coming home last year and there was flowers on my porch and books on my porch and they were texting me DoorDash gift cards and all of this stuff and realizing that when you do show up and you show up fully and you're open and you're vulnerable and you're honest, that the most beautiful friendships can end up coming out of something that you thought was just for business. And so there's no way that I could do anything I do now without the community, the amazing support of my friends, my family, of everybody I've even met through this journey that I was connected with other, oh, hey, you should meet her. She has breast cancer. Hey, you should meet her. You should meet her. And now there's like breasties, I feel like all over the United States. And it's just amazing. And I've never met most of them in person.
That's so cool. And yes, I agree. I think even just becoming an entrepreneur opens up your world and your doors to meet so many new people that you never would have without just like stepping in and diving in wholeheartedly to running a business. Like because we've all heard that, right? Like business is the most incredible personal development journey. So while
Yes.
yes, you're running a business, you're earning an income, you're building, wealth for your family, you're also growing as a human and growing in your relationships and finding the right people to support you in all of the seasons of life and business. So, well, this has been such an inspiring conversation, Sarah. I would love for you to tell us where to connect with you further and a little bit about your podcast. Like, who is that for?
Absolutely. You guys can find me on Instagram. That's where I probably well, I answer all my DMs on Instagram, but that's the place you can find me the most. It's under it's Sarah Beaver. And also obviously my podcast, Creating Sunshine. And my podcast is for it's not just a business podcast. It started out as like mindset and motivation. And now it's become a place where I just had a beautiful conversation with somebody earlier and we were talking about your money mindset. And I've realized that the things that I'm interested in and the things that I have questions about, that most people have questions about them too. So I have had some amazing guests on and, I love a good transformation story. Like you said, I love resilience. I love everything else. So if you had some trials and tribulations in your life and then you created something so amazing and so beautiful on the other side of it, like that's what I want to talk about. And that's what you get to hear on my podcast. So I do have solos, I do have guest episodes, but I feel like it's a great place for inspiration and motivation, but also I always want my audience to have like some tangible tools and tips. So it's not just the fluff. It's like, hey, here's some books you can read. Hey, here's some journal prompts you can do. Here's some things you can do to work through this. So, and it's just honestly, it's one of my most favorite things. I have like 115 episodes and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
I love it. And to that point, give us one tangible takeaway for someone who is going through a hard season and struggling to find sunshine in their everyday life.
You're not that hard thing that happened to you. Like you are who you decide you want to become on the other side of that hard thing. And just remember that you have so much more control than you think. And once you start focusing on the things that you can control and start letting go of the things that you can't, that's when you're going to start to see positivity and like being able to have growth and being able to move forward in your life.
So good. Yes, you are not your circumstances.
We're
You get
not.
to decide who you want to become on the other side of that hard thing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Sarah. And thank you to all the listeners. Until next time, keep creating sunshine in your everyday life.
Thank you.
Hey, sis, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our weekly conversations that drop every Monday. And would you share this with a fellow sister that needs to hear this message too? If you're craving sisterhood, soul, and strategy in action, I'd love for you to step inside our Sister Circle community, where we gather, grow, and build intentional businesses together in real life and real time. I promise, business is more fun in sisterhood. Until next time, keep leading with soul, honoring your season, and don't forget, I'm always cheering for you.